Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to our 60th. Can you believe it? 60th episode of That Sewing Blab. We have reached a milestone on our Blab sessions. We need applause for us. Yay! We want to thank you all for supporting us. And those of you here that are new, my name is Myra from Simple Inspirations. And this is the lovely Dawn from Duelling Designs. And we're going to introduce our fabulous guests shortly. But I want to thank you all once again for stopping in. And again, as I mentioned, those of you who are new to the show, if you have questions for our fabulous guests or Dawn and I, just scroll down to the section below where it says questions and answers and put your questions there so we don't miss them in the comments. Really appreciate everyone stopping in again. And without further ado, let's hit it, Dawn.
Well, tonight we have the fabulous Rin on our show. She has an amazing blog, Sew in Love, and you have to go visit. If you haven't yet, please, 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 please go visit it as soon as the show's over. She has fabulous videos, tips on, and tutorials, sewing, of course, because it is That Sewing Blab, but so much more. I am really interested in her concept of slow living, which she's going to explain more this evening. I've looked a little bit of it up, but I'd love to hear not only the perspective of Rin on slow living on her whole life, but also on sewing, like what that can mean to us personally, as well as her patterns, her henna patterns, as well as just everything, her pattern shop, her Japanese sewing patterns, how she reviews the books, which is something that you don't see very often. And I'm a lover of some of those patterns. I don't have as many books as you, Rin, but I do have some of them, and I think they're amazing. So I think it's fabulous that you found this awesome niche and that you're sharing it with the world. So thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you, thank you. All righty, well, I guess I can get started, and let's get to know a little bit more about you, Rin. I know that you mentioned that your mother was a crafter and your grandmother was actually a seamstress, which is awesome. You have sewing in your blood, young lady. You really do.
I think so.
So can you tell us basically why and when you started sewing?
Sure. I think I started as soon as I was allowed to hold a thread and needle. And I think one of the first things I was taught how to sew was a gingerbread man out of felt. Yeah, I think felt is one of the easiest things to work with when you've got little hands and it doesn't fray. So yes, that's an idea I need to keep for my daughter when she's old enough, is to start teaching her how to do some hand stitches on felt. So I think I would have been quite young, like maybe 6 or younger. Yeah, and then I was probably still in primary school when I was taught how to use a sewing machine. I think I just wanted to do it because I watched my grandmother and my mom make things, and it was just such a natural part of our lives.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing because you're keeping it going. I heard you mention that you're going to keep that idea for your daughter. That's a good thing. Keep this sewing community alive. That's what we all want to do. I mean, really do. So I know that you have your grandmother and your mother, but do you have any formal training in your sewing?
Not at all. I'm actually I studied science at university and commerce. So, and I worked until I had my first baby. I worked in a corporate environment and marketing. And so that's always been my career path. And then I had this sewing and creative path as well. And since having a baby, I've sort of felt like, I'd really like to do something that I'm truly passionate about and spend my time what there is left when you've finished chasing after a toddler on something that I love. I've decided to really dedicate my career going forward to creative pursuits, and that's how I started the sewing pattern business, and that was early this year. So it's kind of it's a fairly new thing for me, but it's it's been a steep learning curve, but I've had so much fun. Like I've never gotten out of bed so excited to work on something.
Yeah, that's amazing, because you mentioned that it was a hobby for you. I think that you started with the blogging in 2010, if I remember correctly, and as a hobby. But with 100,000 views on your blog a month, it is no longer a hobby. That's a business, I would say. That is incredible. I mean, oh my goodness. I've been blogging since 2010, and I don't have that many. I can assure you that is definitely a business. So kudos to you, and congratulations on being so successful.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm just getting started, and once I've had this second baby, hopefully I'll have a bit of time off, and then go again. But I'm having a lot of fun. That's the most important thing, I think.
Wow. Dawn?
Yeah, it's definitely true. Many times we talk to lots of people on the show, and the people who seem to be really hitting their stride seem to be people who are say, I'm following my passion, I'm doing something I love. So you can definitely tell that in what you're doing, because it shows up in everything you do, including your patterns. They definitely look like, and I'll pull up a picture, they definitely look like they're made with love, and that there's a lot of thought into them. So you've made, I think, 3 patterns so far?
That's right.
Do you have plans for more as well?
Yeah, I plan on doing definitely a few more women's designs, but I've had a lot of requests to do children's clothes.
Oh, cool.
So if I can so Hannah Patterns is really all about minimalist fashion and understated designs that really emphasizes the use of natural materials like linen and silk. So I thought if I could translate that sort of philosophy to a children's collection, that could be something, another niche that I could try and grasp.
Very comfortable looking clothing too, I might add.
Yeah, I'm wearing one of the shirts now, and I'm 38 weeks pregnant, so there's lots of room.
And congratulations again on your, well, you haven't had it yet, but congratulations.
Anytime now.
Do you know what you're having?
It's supposed to be another girl.
Ah.
Yeah, so I've got one daughter already, and then another girl, so lots of girls sewing patterns on the way, I think.
Okay, you also have some free patterns. You offer quite a few free patterns on your site too, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, a lot of the free patterns are things that I sort of drafted up for myself, so it just comes in my size. But I've done a few videos where I talk about the process of making the patterns to fit me, which means that anyone can follow that video and draft a pattern for themselves.
Oh, nice.
It's just really easy patterns. So yeah, really comfortable things that you can just make in a day or a weekend.
Oh, awesome.
There's a lot of congratulations going on in the.
That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, people saying congratulations on the baby girl and that they like your patterns, and it's lovely.
Thank you.
Another thing I noticed from your site, one thing that you noticed right off, because not a lot of blogs, when you think of how many blogs are out there, deal with specifically Japanese sewing patterns as well. And they are real gems that you might not notice at first, but are well worth looking at. Did you start the blog thinking that you would do more reviews on Japanese sewing patterns, or was it something that just kind of happened naturally because you had them in your collection?
Yeah, I think it just happened naturally. Like I completely started the blog with no plans, no goals, just a creative outlet, so that because I had my corporate job and I just really needed to do something to satisfy my creativity. And then I did write a little bit about the Japanese sewing patterns because my mother is Japanese, so I had these pattern books, and then realized that those articles were some of the most popular on the blog. And that's when I started reviewing them, and then publishers started contacting me to review their books, and that's how it sort of all started. And then I ended up writing an ebook, which that was my first sort of monetization of my blog, was to write an ebook called How to Sew Japanese Sewing Patterns. And it's an ebook for non-Japanese speakers to help them translate and understand how Japanese sewing patterns work. That was launched in 2013, and it still sort of sells itself and kicks on. So that's been doing quite well. But yeah, in no way was I ever like, oh, I'm Japanese and I can sew, I'm going to write about Japanese sewing. But it just really happened naturally because I really loved them so much. And then, yeah, it just really evolved from there.
Oh, very cool.
Very much so. Where do you get your
my influence?
Your inspiration?
Inspiration, yeah. Definitely Instagram, so other sewing bloggers. But I do find that I like the more minimalist sort of modern style, and there's definitely not that many sewing bloggers doing that. I really love the vintage cuts and things that are really popular, but it doesn't suit my body type. So I like sort of more straight up and down sort of tunic styles, and you know, I love linen, so anything made out of linen and like not too body hugging. That's sort of my style. So I really do look for inspiration from brands like Everlane and Madewell, and people who do a sort of more a tomboyish style. So they're kind of my favorite brands. And then also celebrities who I really admire in terms of their dress sense. I think that's a really great way too, because they tend to have a stylist working for them, so they're really honed in on their style. So you can find someone who has either a similar body shape to you or similar coloring or the style that you like. If you just want to follow them, I think that's a great way to find inspiration. So for me, it's Clémence Poissy, who's the French actress. I really love French style because it's very understated. So yeah, that's a lot of French style blogs is also where I find inspiration.
Oh, that's great. And I have to ask questions for Diane again. You create your own patterns. Do you prefer? Do you use commercial patterns?
Yeah, I do actually. I mean, definitely Japanese ones, but also I've done a few. I did a sew along on the blog. You might want to pull it up, Dom. I did a McCall's dress. It's a wrap dress. Maybe he just search for McCall's.
You just lost your search bar.
Before bringing that up, I want to ask you that question before Dawn gets to me. Printed or PDF?
We do both, actually. I do both.
Okay.
I like the PDFs because I live in Australia and everything is so far away, and to get anything shipped is very expensive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I do like the instant gratification of a PDF pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. This is it. I was going to say, is this the one you were speaking of?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I can bring it up if you want to talk about it.
Yeah. So I just did a sew along for a dress that I really like this because I was breastfeeding at the time and I really needed a wrap dress, and this really reminded me of a dress made by Cézanne. Cézanne is like a French fashion brand, and I used a Japanese lawn fabric to make it. And this was probably one of the first sort of more commercial pattern blog posts that I did, and people seem to really like it.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Great pattern. I think it's one that would really flatter a lot of body types. So I highly recommend this one.
That's so cute. That's adorable on you.
Thank you.
I like it. What's one of your favorite projects?
Ooh, probably it's a tunic that I made from a Japanese sewing pattern but the fabric I used is from my other heritage. So my dad is Indonesian. So when my parents go and visit Indonesia, they always bring back some traditional Indonesian fabric called the batik, which is a beautiful, like lots of traditional prints, paisleys, and great colors. So I kind of combined my two sort of like heritage sides, so the Japanese sewing pattern with Indonesian batik fabric, and made this tunic. And I wear it a lot. It's
wow.
It's,
I hope it. Is that something that's on your blog? That's
yeah, it is. If you look up, maybe if you just look up tunic, it might come up.
Okay. And while she's looking that up, can you answer for us, what aspect of sewing do you find most challenging?
Patience.
I'm sorry. I always find that amusing when someone who sews says that's the biggest challenge is patience. It's so funny.
Yeah, I always say that I wish there was an undo button on the sewing machine.
Oh, that's a great one. I love that.
Yeah. Like even yesterday, I'm making a dress at the moment out of organic linen. It's beautiful, and I'm making buttonholes, and buttonholes are just never fun to sew. Let's just all agree there. It's just so I was on like my second last one. I had to do 10 in my second last one, and the bobbin ran out of thread, and something happened to the button maker, and it just I don't know what happened, but it was no longer a buttonhole. It was more like just this huge knot.
Oh no.
And then I was just like, oh my God, I have to go and unpick this. And unpicking buttonholes is just horrible. So yes, I wish I had the patience to just slow down a bit and check that the bobbin had enough thread and didn't ram the sewing machine so that it made a knot and all these things. And the button would have been nice.
I understand that. This tunic actually looks really cute. Is it striped?
Was it the first one?
The one on the left. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, that looks so adorable on you. So cute.
Yes. I
should make it a bit bigger so everyone can see it. Sorry. Here you go. I was like too busy looking at it myself. Oh, that looks lovely.
Yeah, I love the fabric.
Wear them all the time. The sleeve detail is really quite nice too.
Yeah, it's a little tight, so it's a little bit unique, but not sort of in your face, which wouldn't be my sub, because the fabric it's quite busy. I just wanted to use a really simple pattern, and and it just
when you said batik, I was picturing like, you know, the wax print, very big, kind of like you'd see on Bondi Beach or something.
Yeah.
I wasn't picturing something so dainty and beautiful. Like it is that's gorgeous, and it's very refined almost compared to the very washed out watercolory look of the other. When I think of the word batik, is it made in the same process?
Yeah. So the wax process is what they do. This one, like my parents brought it back for me, so I don't know what the origin of the pattern is. But I guess the more common batik fabric is the brown sort of color with the like the dots and the little patterns made out of wax.
Similar to what Carol is saying, they were tie-dye, because I actually was in the Caribbean, I think it was St. Kitts, and I bought some batik, and it actually did look like you were saying, Dawn. It looked like what Carol said. It was a tie-dyed, orangish, of reds and white kind of splashes together. But yes, yours very pretty. It's so adorable. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So I was wondering, if someone had not sewn a Japanese sewing pattern before, whether it's like the more commercial pattern magics, which I think a lot of the people here might have heard of before, or any others, what advice would you give kind of the newbie who's just attacking it? Like one, that you have a fabulous resource already out there, but I mean, just a little hint of some advice for them.
Advice would be to remember the most important thing is that they don't include a seam allowance.
Oh. kind of like Berta used to be.
Yeah, you have to add a seam allowance. So I think they do that so that it's much more accurate. So what the pattern they provide is the actual line that you sew on. And then you add a seam allowance on top of that. But that will be the biggest thing, I think, because I've cut out a pattern, made something for myself, and I've given it to a friend, and she's like, "Oh my god, this pattern is tiny," and it was because she didn't add a seam allowance, and I didn't even think of that. Yeah, the things that's really important.
Yes, that's very important. Yeah. Very important.
Would you say they have a certain style, or kind of? Yeah, because I can kind of see that there's a certain kind of aesthetic to them. Maybe some would say simple, but I think classic. You know, very, I don't know the right word. There's something about them that they're very clean. Maybe that's closer, clean. Yeah. Not simple, but clean.
Yeah, I think the way Japanese women dress, especially the ones who like to sew their own clothes, tends to be more of an understated, like you would never see them wear anything skin tight. Even a fit and flare dress doesn't really happen. It's very much tunics and comfortable and conservative, sort of understated dressing.
I like comfortable and classy and clean, so I think they're gorgeous. Yeah.
I agree totally. Is there any garment or anything that you've created in the past that you would like to redo?
I definitely want to make another wrap dress, so the McCall's one.
That was cute.
Definitely making another one of those, and then actually one of the Hannah Patterns sewing patterns, the Koi drape front top, which is the top that has the front that's cut on the bias. It's been a fantastic maternity top, and I'm about to do a blog post on the ways that I've styled it. So I think I'll be making that one again. I want to make it in silk this time.
Okay. Was there?
It has a lovely drape.
I'm sorry?
It has a lovely drape.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It's very
Can you pull
it? I mean, I've got a huge belly at the moment, and it just completely covers it.
Yeah, it's really nice. Okay.
Okay, now I've been dying to know more about slow life. We talked about it in the test, but you also put it on some of your social media and things as well. So I'd like to know more about what you see the concept of living a slow life is, and also how you think it affects your life, sewing, everything. Sounds very exciting.
Yeah, so the concept of slow living is something that I think I was always conscious of, but it's only really recently when I sort of changed my this career goal from becoming this corporate person to someone who had a creative business. That's when I really realized that at the core of it was the concept of slow living. And to me, slow living is being more conscious and being more mindful of all the things that we do. And I think it encompasses so many things that I'm passionate about. So obviously creativity and handicraft, those are all things that make you slow down. And also things like the environment and family. So I don't want to go and spend 5 days a week working in an office, because I want to spend that time with my daughter and doing, handicrafts with her. And it's just making those conscious decisions. Just slow down and just think about the priorities in your life. And then the environmental factor is like just things like buying secondhand or reusing things. Like I'm taking off some buttons from a shirt that's just no longer wearable and then attaching it to another shirt that I'm making, and things like that. And I'm also making a quilt, like a doona cover for my coming baby daughter, and I'm going to be using sort of vintage doilies that I've inherited from my husband's mother. And just little things like that. I think it's just a really nice way to celebrate the little simple things in life, I think.
So true. I couldn't agree with you more. It actually moves over. It actually opens your eyes to other things in your life too, like health and the way you eat for yourself and your family. And I think you actually started something called the I Quit Sugar movement. Well, you're joining the I Quit Sugar movement.
Right.
And that's something that I truly believe in. My husband and I went pescatarians, grain-free pescatarians many years ago. Well, not many, probably about 3 or 4 years ago now. And it was basically because we really wanted to take care of ourselves. And as a part of, living your life in the moment and understanding what it is that you do day to day that stresses you out, and not do that anymore if at all possible.
Yeah.
And you start to open your eyes to other things, like you said, and health is one of them. You want to talk to us about your I Quit Sugar movement?
That came about because in this pregnancy, I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes, which is just a temporary form of diabetes, but I really had to be more conscious about my sugar and carb intake. And then once I looked more into it, I was like, wow, it makes so much more sense. And when you become more conscious about the things that you're consuming and the packaging labels, there's a lot of sugar in there that we don't even realize. And I mean, our family, we're healthy eaters, and we still were consuming a lot of refined sugars without knowing. So once we made this switch, we felt amazing. And I was saying in the blog that my skin's been so much better, and that's not something you hear a pregnant woman say. So it's definitely, and I think nothing makes you feel better than having eaten whole foods, great food.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I agree.
I had a lot of allergies. I missed quite a few shows. Anyone who watches the show a lot, in December I was a hot mess. Every winter I had allergies and got sick, and I did the same thing as you in January of this year. Haven't been sick since. It takes about, I had some serious withdrawals from sugar. I won't lie, for the first 3 days or so, but I definitely, I know this is supposed to be a sewing show. Sorry about this, guys. It's like I'm more aware now. And not only when I buy things, more whole foods, less processed, but I'm more awake all the time. And I never realized I was groggy until I stopped eating a lot of refined sugar. So, I definitely, to not have the allergies I did before, not be sick every winter, it's huge. So, it's very interesting that you bring that up. I totally agree with you, as I know Myra does too. Myra and I talk about our diets.
Yeah. And it's funny, I did a blog post about this, on Sewing Love, just because I just wanted to share this new journey I was going on, and it had lots and lots of comments. So I feel like people who are into sewing and into, slowing down and doing things with their hands, we're the type of people who care about our health as well. So I think there's definitely a crossover there, because I was quite surprised and delighted at the amount of support and a lot of feedback I got from an article about quitting sugar on a sewing blog. So
not surprising to me at all. Not surprising. Well, we know that you slowed down quite a bit, but you still have a lot of things going on. I mean, you have a business, you have an almost 2-year-old, you have another one on the way. How do you maintain the balance of all of this?
I think one of the things that's really important to our family is sleep. So it's a big priority in the house. So our daughter is a very good sleeper. So we did the sleep training, and she sleeps, throughout the night, and she does 2 to 3 hours of napping during the day. So she's a dream sleeper, and we made sure that she liked to sleep. And my husband and I make sure we get the 8 to 9 hours. So I think it's just that's a huge part of it, having the rest and prioritizing rest.
Yeah, and that's something that you really have to do. And I'm struggling with my husband who gets up at 4 a.m. every morning. And of course, I have to get up with him to try and get into bed earlier because he's like you said, he needs the sleep training. He really does, because I can get him into bed at 8:30 and he's still awake by 10 o'clock, and he's wondering why he's tired when he gets up in the morning. That's why.
Yeah, and it just gets you, like, it just gives you that energy to be able to do things. So I think that's what it is. There's no like secret hacks or time-saving apps I use. It's just prioritizing sleep and rest.
Sleep. Okay. Well, that's good, and a lot of us can actually learn from that. Speaking for myself here. Okay, let's see. Do you have, I'm trying to remember if I saw anything on your blog about collaborations. Have you done any collaborations or you have?
Yeah, well, I'm actually doing one now. And we're sort of like, are we or aren't we going to get it done before the baby comes? But I'm working with an online fabric store that specializes in organic fabrics. We're going to put together a package of one of the Hannah Patterns dresses, and then and she'll provide the fabric. So I've actually got a fabric kit. This is one of them. We're doing two, and this is an organic linen, and it's sort of like a denim-y sort of color.
Ooh, that's pretty.
So soft and beautiful, and the most amazing fabric to work with. It's been a dream.
Now, that's something for me. I love linen, but I don't use it probably anywhere near as much as I would like to, only because of the wrinkles.
Right. I think you have to embrace the wrinkles when you wear linen.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, it's like that boho sort of look. You just embrace the wrinkles.
Okay. I have one linen suit that I made a couple of years ago. It was cream color. It was on my blog. And I love it. I still have it. But doggone it, when I wore that on vacation, not even 10 minutes into the vacation, I looked like an accordion. It was funny.
It is an amazing fabric, isn't it? Really, from flax plants. It's just so, I had to do, in school, we each got a different fabric and we had to research it. And linen was mine. And I was living in New Zealand at the time. I had flax plants outside. And it is such a versatile, lovely plant. I mean, it is really fabulous. But I guess, like Myra said, the one thing that keeps it from being worn more is that it does wrinkle. So it doesn't really suit tighter styles.
No, it's definitely more for the flowy things. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I do love, and it's so easy to work with. Oh my gosh, so easy to work with. Yeah. Okay, one more question here for me. Your blog has a lot of information on it, a lot of information in your business. When people are coming to your blog and they're being inspired by you and learning a lot, what is the one thing that you would like your viewers to take away from your blog?
That handmade is beautiful.
Yes. I'd say that's perfect. I'd say that's absolutely perfect. Yeah. And I think they get that. I know I did. I was truly inspired when I went to your blog and started looking at some stuff. And I'm embarrassed to say that before Dawn had mentioned, we're going to have this guest on, I didn't. But I will rectify that in the future, because you're a lady to be reckoned with. That's for sure. Very inspiring.
Amazing sewing blogs out there, and I think everyone sort of has their own style and
yes, and
things like that. So I mean, I'm yet to discover all the amazing blogs out there too. So that's totally normal. But yeah, the handmade is beautiful, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's about the process. And
yes,
creating something that you've made and that you're going to be proud of.
Yes, and I think we have to be careful when we say that. I know a lot of times we have, experienced sewers like myself and Dawn and you, and when we're putting stuff out there, on whether it be on the blog or it be on YouTube or wherever it is, we have to keep in the back of our minds that there are people who are newbies out there. And if we're talking about being perfect in creating your clothes, that might scare them away, because you don't have to always be perfect. It just have to be perfect in your eyes,
Yeah.
and that you're proud of what you did. And that's what I try to stress to people, because, there are some sewers who don't care about couture. There are some who love couture.
Yeah.
There are some who rush through projects and don't care about what the inside looks like because it's theirs. And there's some that are very meticulous about the inside. So we have to be careful and not scare those new people away, because we want to keep this community alive. We really, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Your blog actually stresses that to me. It's all about easy sewing, living, all of it. So kudos to you.
Thank you. I'm the first to admit that I have no formal training. I just basically, learned to use a sewing machine from my mom, and then just kind of figured it out from there. So, and if I can make a business out of it, then anyone can, sew a dress.
Well, you did very well, my dear. You did very well. Dawn?
Definitely. Yeah, I totally agree. That was amazing, Myra. You just hit the nail on the head there. You definitely get that across on your blog and in your patterns. Very inspiring, very, very inspiring.
Yeah.
Yes, so we have some questions, and hopefully we'll be able to convince some people to come on screen as well. So we'll see how we go here. If anyone would like to come on camera and ask Rin a question or have a comment, please just tell us in the comments. And besides that, we'll get to some of the questions. Unless you have another question, Myra?
This one I can ask later. I have one more I can ask later.
Lots of time. Okay, the first one is from one of our favorites here, Alethea from So Much Talent. There are not many Asian bloggers that I'm aware of, like Very Purple Person. Are you familiar with her? Do you see yourself as a forerunner to bring more of a visible presence to the Asian sewing community? It's 3 questions, sorry. If you don't see yourself as a forerunner, just how active is the Asian community in sewing and crafting?
Ooh, okay, I know a Very Purple Person. She actually is one of my affiliates. So she has a banner up on her blog for my ebook, How to Sew Japanese Sewing Patterns. Navita. So she lives in Japan, but she's Indonesian. So we have this very, very close relationship because of those heritage similarities. And in terms of other, no, you're right. There's not that many, and I wonder why that is. Or they're there, but they're not blogging in English. So that's why you don't see them. There's definitely a few Japanese bloggers that I just follow on Instagram. But I think that this whole blogging community is so much more mature in the English-speaking world. Like the idea, and maybe it's a cultural thing too, but the idea of a blogging as a career or blogging as a business is something I think that is quite foreign to, not foreign, but just less common in Asian countries. So maybe that's another reason why you don't see people dedicating as much time and energy into blogs.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. And thanks for Alethea for the fabulous question.
We have a question.
Yeah, we have another one.
Hi.
Yep.
What do you find easy or difficult when it comes to sewing patterns?
Good question.
I find anything that doesn't require notions easy. So no zippers, no buttons. I love those buttons. Anything difficult. I think one of the most difficult things that I've worked with or worked on is a silk dress. Oh my God, silk is just so difficult. That's something I want to tackle again. But again, I need to work on the patience factor to tackle silk again. But yeah, silk de chine is something that I tried working with and really struggled. So I think silky fabrics is a real challenge for me.
Okay.
Good to know. We have a question from Aisha. I hope I said that right. How are you able to access sewing patterns? Do you order or download? I'm speaking about the traditional Big Four patterns.
Oh, okay. So the Big Fours, I don't very often use them, but if I do, I just go to actually, it's kind of both. If it's Berta, I will just get the PDF and download it and print it. And I really don't mind sticking PDFs together. I just listen to a podcast or something. It's actually quite a nice way to spend some time not thinking about daily life activities. I just sort of tune out and listen to Radio Lab or any of my other favorite podcasts, and the time goes really quickly. And then in terms of the other big four brands, yeah, I think I tend to order them because it tends to be cheaper coming from the US. I'll order them online, but it takes so long to get to Australia. Oh my gosh. By the time it arrives, it's like, oh yeah, I ordered this.
Yeah.
So I think for me, PDFs are the best, and yeah, and I really don't mind sticking them together. It's actually a nice little repetitive task for me to do.
Okay. Oops, do we have another one? Let's see. We do have one more from Alethea. She says, you may have mentioned this already, but do you have a team to help you manage your blog, business, all of your other endeavors? Which is kind of the question I was asking about. How do you keep it in balance?
Yeah. I used to have like a I think they're called the digital assistant or a virtual assistant to help me with my Pinterest account. And she really did a great job growing the Pinterest account to, I don't know, it's got some crazy number of followers now.
24,925.
Oh, wow. Okay. And it just, but she doesn't work for me anymore. She was just doing a few hours for me a week, and then it just got to a stage where the Pinterest account was kind of plateauing and just looking after itself. But other than that, no, it's just me. It's just like, I think when you've got such a limited amount of time to work on your business, like I seriously only get like 2 to 4 hours a week. It's when I'm sitting in front of the computer or sitting in front of the sewing machine, it's just like go. I know exactly what needs to be done, and I just do it. So yeah, maybe in the future I might go back to getting some help, especially with the social media aspect and the more sort of repetitive tasks. But for the moment, I enjoy doing these aspects. Oh, but at the same time, I do have a friend who's a graphic designer, and she helped me a lot with the launch of Hannah Patterns. So I do believe in outsourcing tasks that are better suited to professionals like design and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think for any bloggers out there who are wondering what, if there's any tasks that they might start outsourcing, I would say design's a really important one, because that's the first impression that people get when they visit your website or interact with you. And I think it's really important to make sure that your brand is represented the right way and visually, and it really doesn't have to cost a lot of money to get a professional to come up with a concept for you.
Great advice.
Yes.
We have one question left. Unless anyone else has any others, please feel free to put them in the bottom if you do. How do you organize your patterns and projects is the next question. Thank you very much for the question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have paper binder folder things. I've got one here. I'll show you. So these.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
So I have these, And then I put everything into an envelope, a white envelope that's the perfect size. And then I usually write down what pattern is in there and do a little drawing of what it is. And then I separate these into like dresses or Japanese patterns or kids or trousers and things like that. So that's like as sophisticated as my pattern organization goes.
Well, that's still organized.
Yes, and long as it works for you.
Yeah.
We have no more questions below, but I'm kind of curious. What do you see? I know in the next year you're going to be quite busy, but say in the next 5 or 10 years.
That was my last question too.
Oh, sorry, Myra.
That's
You got that mind lead, Myra.
So many things. So one of the things I really want to do is grow Hannah patterns to, I guess to a level of a full-time income, and then whatever that may be, and then 5 to 10 years. I mean, we imagine as a family to be living overseas again. So we're in Australia now, but we spent 3 years living in San Francisco and had our first daughter there. So we plan on living in Japan and possibly South America. So
wow.
My husband and I are both very much laptop lifestyle type of people. So we need to make an income online. But another thing I'm really passionate about is the marketing side, because that's what I studied and that's what my experience has been in. So I would love to help other bloggers and other mothers and online people who are new to being an online entrepreneur to help them grow their business. So I think that's within 10 years, I would love to, not sure how that will become a business, but that's something I really enjoy doing. I do some like meetups here. I sometimes teach things and I help people with their marketing, and it's something I really enjoy doing. So
I think a marketing consultant would be great, and I think that's something that others could actually utilize. So I'm not sure how many of them are out there to help people with their to grow their business, but if you already have a following and people like you and you offer that, I can only say that they would actually take you up on it.
Yeah, I hope so. So that's out there. Oh, and another thing I wanted to do is classes at my home. So I wanted to start teaching some craft classes at home, maybe together with my mum, because she's a school teacher, but she's retiring this year. So we thought she's got a lot of teaching experience. So we thought it might be really nice to do sort of an intimate around the dining table sewing classes and project-based classes. So that's more of a community type thing that I want to do too. I guess that fits in with the whole slow living aspect of things, like really being in touch with your community. So that's something I want to do as well within the next few years.
Sounds like you got some great plans there. And we've already had 2 people respond to that. Andrea said that is very helpful to have a marketing consultant. She just hired one.
Yeah.
And Alethea also said that would be great. So I do believe that you're on the right track, and sounds like you have some great plans for the future. We look forward to having you back soon too. So we can see that brand new baby of yours as well.
Yeah. Definitely.
So does anybody else want to come online and ask her a question? If everyone I wish she understood sewing patterns. You got a response right there on your marketing consultant.
Yeah.
Andreas, did you read her?
I did. It's actually, that's a good point actually. My, the lady that had helped me do my Pinterest account, she was a rare find that she understood, the difference between crochet and knitting and could find good Pinterest pins. So yeah. And I totally understand what you mean there. It's hard to find someone who has that marketing brain, but then also understands, sewing to a degree enough to enough to look after a sewing account.
Yes, and that's so true what she's saying here. You know, the market is different. So, you know, unless this person is well versed in the sewing world, it may be a little bit difficult for them to work with someone who's like Andrea, who's immersed in every aspect of sewing. So, okay, well, it looks like we're coming to the end here. We really appreciate you coming and allowing us to interview you. It's been a wonderful hour. I know I've had a lot of fun interviewing, and I'm sure Dawn did too. We just love our guests when they come on the show, and we get to learn so much more and offer it to our viewers as well, who support us every week coming in to see that. So again, thank you very much. We truly appreciate your time.
Thanks, ladies. It's been lots of fun.
Cool. That's fabulous. Actually, I had one more question. Sorry. We've been talking the last 3 weeks. We had 3 ladies from the UK on. It was just kind of a fluke that there's, or maybe it was the week before, 3 weeks. And they were talking about how there's a bit of a resurgence in the sewing communities.
Yes.
So, you know, it's kind of getting, I don't know, back to the roots is kind of a way of saying it, more of an emphasis on, you know, handmade, like you were talking about. Having lived in San Francisco and now Australia, I was wondering if you noticed any differences between, like, is there more of a community there or now where you're living?
I think that San Francisco has always been somewhere that celebrates creativity and sort of artisanal skills. So I loved it there. It wasn't, you know, no one bats an eyelid there if you say that you're a blogger or that you sew. Whereas where I am now, it's as much as there's a bit of an underground creative community, you kind of have to look for it. And when you say that you sew, you kind of, you know, people in my generation, they're like, oh, my mum sews, but that's kind of where it ends. Yeah, whereas like in San Francisco, it's like, oh, the conversation keeps going to, you know, oh, what's your favorite fabric? And, you know, what was the last thing you made? And, you know, you can get like really deep into a sewing conversation. But here it's more like, oh, can you hem my jeans type of.
Yeah. That is so funny.
I can so relate. It's true. Yeah, that's the only thing they think of is straight to alterations, isn't it?
Yeah. That's like that sewing equals hemming pants. So I'm yet to. I mean, I've only been here for a bit over a year, so as much as I said, I am discovering the creatives and where they hang out and going to the events, the right events. But yeah, I mean, I think San Francisco is special in that sense.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Oh, thank you. I was really curious because it's something Myra and I talked about a little bit, and we've been, you know, just kind of thinking about. I'm hoping that there's this big kind of groundswell of people who are saying, you know, yes, fast fashion is fine for, you know, a cheap T-shirt, but I want to make things that are going to last, that are sustainable, that are unique. And yeah, you could definitely tell when we interviewed the British bloggers, like they had a sewing seamstress ball, didn't they, Myra? And like all sorts of things that were really pushing from the, you know, like this new it was almost a movement. Like you could feel they had momentum. Like when you say movement, you think of momentum. Whereas, yeah, where I am, I kind of feel like it's stagnant. I mean, not with quilts as much, but, and yeah, so I was curious if that was happening in Australia as well, but it could be different parts of Australia too. So I'm kind of pigeonholing you to here. Sorry.
I think that with the UK, it's the Great British Sewing Bee that has done it. We need something like that here.
Yeah, I think so. And by the way, Dawn, I don't know, I can't remember her name. Oh my gosh. But one of our guests that was on the show won Best Dressed at the ball.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Helen Pedflick from
yes.
Oh yeah. What's the beginning of her interview? Yeah,
she did the Marilyn Monroe red dress. When she was on the show, we didn't know what the dress was yet. Right. She'd already done the Marilyn Monroe. This is the Julia Roberts red dress.
Yes.
But she was hinting that something big was coming up. And yeah, even like she said, instead of sewing a different garment, you know, trying to fit 3 different garments in a week to go on YouTube. She was trying to do bigger projects, and you know, she was thinking more about it. So there was this real push. So I don't know, it's something I'm thinking a lot more about, you know, not necessarily how many things can I turn out versus how can I make them more me and more interesting and last longer. So anyway, but I'm babbling on. I'm very sorry, Rin.
I agree. I think also lately I've been focusing more on the fabric, like not just buying any old fabric, but really thinking about the origin of that fabric and working with an organic fabric suppliers and things like that. It just makes the whole process, not just making it, but then wearing it and then talking about it, much more pleasurable.
Yeah. Wow.
Fabulous.
Okay. Oh, and there was one thing that we didn't ask. We got 1 more minute.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you talked about the linen and you showed us that, but do you have any favorite online fabrics resources?
I think for me, Etsy. I mean, again, I'm in Australia, so I'm quite limited. But I use Etsy to buy things, and also eBay in Australia is quite good to find vintage fabrics. Yeah, so those 2 things. I mean, you wouldn't think. I found the eBay experience to be a little different when I lived in the States, but in Australia, it's still sort of the go-to place to sell secondhand goods. You can find some great fabrics on there.
Oh, good. Okay, well, thank you again. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Myra. I was going to say, having lived in New Zealand, you think, you know, being Australia, even though it is a lot of people, you know, you are quite a ways away from the States, which is kind of like, or Europe, where a lot of the fabrics come from. So you do feel it. I mean, everything from when you turn on your cable to the food you get in your shelves, it's different. So like when I moved there, I'm always like, you know, because I moved back and forth a couple times. My husband's from New Zealand, but so I'd understand from San Francisco, where I imagine you can get just about anything you can dream of. Moving to Australia would have been a bit of a shock at first. But anyway, sorry.
Okay, well, we've kept you long enough, and we really appreciate your time, and we would like to have you come back on again, so we're not going to spoil that for you. But again, thank you so much, Rin, for joining us and allowing us to spend some time with you. We really appreciate it. I'm sure our viewers appreciate being able to ask you those questions as well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Dawn. Thanks, Myra. Thanks, ladies, who joined in. It's been lots of fun, and yeah, I'd love to come back once I've had the baby and maybe launch some girl patterns.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Yes, soon. Thanks everybody for joining us again for another fabulous night and helping us celebrate our 60th milestone episode of That Sewing Blab. Thank you all again, and have a wonderful night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.